They told me I was lucky to have a job. That's what the supervisor said the day he shoved a mop in my hand and pointed to the marble floors of the Avalon Crest Hotel. Smile cross. Not everyone with a fancy degree gets to scrub bathrooms in a 5-star place. He thought he was funny. I smiled anyway. It was either that or let the shame eat me alive. 6 years. That's how long I stayed invisible, working graveyard shifts, dodging eye contact, making sure the shine on the floors outlasted the names of the people who walked on them. I didn't talk much, not because I had nothing to say, just figured nobody was really listening. Then came that morning. I was wiping down the lobby tiles, trying to get this stubborn spot off the marble near the fountain when I heard her heels. First, click, click, like punctuation marks, then her voice, sharp, cool, no nonsense. "Sir, you missed a spot." I looked up and there she was, Sloane Everett, CEO of Everett Global, Billionaire, the kind of woman whose photo lived on magazine covers and corporate walls. She didn't wait for me to respond, just turned and walked off like nothing she said required acknowledgement. I figured it was just another day. But then my phone buzzed in my pocket. 3 times. I shouldn't have answered. Rules said no personal calls, but the country code on the screen said +31 the Netherlands. And when you've spent the last few years hiding your past just to feed your kid any sign that the old you might still exist, you answer. I ducked behind a pillar, whispered, "Dit is Julian." The voice on the other end, Dutch warm academic, said, "Professor Cross, we received your paper. Language as a cultural bridge." Quite brilliant, actually. For 2 minutes, I wasn't a janitor anymore. I was a linguist again. The Dutch came back like a song. My pulse calmed, and for just a moment, I felt real. When I hung up, I realized the lobby had gone silent. Everyone was staring, including her Sloane Everett, just standing there watching me like I'd started glowing. Before I could say a word, my supervisor stormed in. "Cross, my office, now." He was red-faced, said I embarrassed the company, said speaking Dutch on the lobby floor made me look like a lost tourist, said I was lucky not to be fired, then reassigned me to the midnight restroom detail out back. I went home that night, sat at the kitchen table while my daughter Lila slept in the next room. She hadn't spoken since the accident, not a word in months. I looked at the hospital bill stuck on the fridge and the Yale diploma collecting dust. I felt like 2 different people, both of them losing. But the next morning, I got a call from the front desk, report to the executive floor. Now, I thought it was a mistake. Janitors don't go up there, not unless something caught fire. But it wasn't a mistake. When I walked into conference room, a Sloane Everett was waiting. She didn't offer a chair. "Didn't waste time." "You speak Dutch?" she asked. "Yes, ma'am, Mandarin Italian." I nodded. She looked at me for a long beat, then said, "I need someone to help translate at the World Trade Summit. 2 of our top linguists dropped out. You're fluent, underused, and sitting right under our nose." I swallowed. "Why me?" she said. "Because I watched you speak like the world was listening, even when it wasn't." I said yes. I didn't even blink. But not everyone was thrilled. A guy named Carter Rhodes, director of operations, pulled me aside later. Perfect suit, practice smile, said, "Just so we're clear, janitor or not, this summit is high stakes. A single word could cost us millions." I smiled. "Then maybe you should have hired a linguist 6 months ago." He didn't like that. Still, I got to work. Translated policy drafts in 4 languages, caught 6 errors that would have sparked diplomatic chaos. 1 mistranslation turned strategic partnership into forced acquisition in Mandarin. Another made welcome sound like "we tolerate you" in Korean. No one said thank you, but they kept coming back for more, and then something happened that stopped me cold. One night I came home late and found Lila sitting on the floor colouring flags. France, China, Italy, Netherlands. Under each one she'd written little phrases in crayon phonetically spelled greetings. She pointed to the Dutch flag and whispered, "Welcome." I dropped to my knees. She remembered. Later that week, Sloane called me in again. No assistance, no formality, just her. "I read your research," she said, "the way you talk about silence, but like it's a language of its own." I nodded. My wife was a sign language interpreter. She used to say the scariest things are the ones we don't say out loud. Sloane was quiet for a moment, then slid a folder across the table. Final briefings. You'll be opening the summit. I blinked. I thought this was a temporary reassignment. It still is, she said. But this makes it real. The summit began with a bang. Flags everywhere, delegates from 12 countries. I bounced between languages, fixed seating mix-ups, clarified idioms, smoothed cultural tensions. But then sabotage. I found deliberate translation errors in the keynote materials. Tiny changes, barely visible, but devastating in meaning. And every one of them came from a company approved by Carter Rhodes and managed by his niece. I brought the proof to Sloane. She didn't flinch. That afternoon, she walked straight into the press room and fired Carter on the spot. "You're ruining this company over a janitor," he sneered. "No," she said. "I'm rebuilding it around someone who listens." He was escorted out in silence. The next day, Sloane launched an initiative called New Voices, a place where staff from any level could pitch ideas, share knowledge, or just be heard. A dishwasher named Jamal proposed a mentorship program between chefs and interns. A housekeeper named May presented a plan to cut hotel water usage by 40%. Maria's daughter, a finance grad who'd been rejected 3 times, blew the audit team away with a new budgeting model. It wasn't about charity. It was about letting people show up as who they already were. And me, I became Director of Cultural Strategy. Same watch, same shoes, but now I spoke in boardrooms, not back rooms. One evening, Sloane and I stood on the rooftop garden looking out over the city. She asked me, "Why did you really take the job?" I said. "Because I want to build rooms where people don't have to shout to be heard." She smiled softly this time. And then she asked something I wasn't expecting. "Will you help me build it everywhere?" I didn't say yes right away. I just looked down at my daughter's drawing tucked in my pocket. 3 words scribbled under the Dutch flag. "You are enough." Now here's what I'll ask you. Have you ever been overlooked, pushed aside because your resume didn't fit the mold? Or because you didn't sound like the people in charge? Do you think it's time we listen to the people who've been silenced too long? Tell me in the comments. What's one talent the world missed? Because it never thought to ask. And if this story lit something in you, even just a flicker, hit subscribe. Because we're building more than a channel here. We're building a space where everyone has a voice, even the janitor.